Hey friends, Ari Koinuma here. Thanks for checking in. So just like everybody else, I've been reflecting the last few days on the loss of Eddie Van Halen, and while I was not a huge fan, I think virtually all rock guitarists have been impacted by Eddie Van Halen in big and small ways. So when an icon like that is gone, you inevitably feel the loss and the difference that somebody like that makes in your art. So obviously there has been a lot said about his impact and his innovation and his technical virtuosity and things like that. So I like to take my own spin in terms of considering why he was able to do what he did and sort of a deeper level or deeper truths of what went behind all the things that he was able to do, and share my thoughts with you. So the first thing I would say is that his innovation requires curiosity. You have to have the curiosity to poke at and tinker with and experiment, explore things that you don't know, and then of course in his case things that has never been done or seldom have been done before. And so the curious thing about curiosity is that I observe that it seems to get drummed out of the vast majority of us by the time we get puberty. I kind of blame it on some school systems and other thinking, educational approaches, but he had curiosity in abundance, and you can tell because he kept on tweaking and refining. For example, his vision for perfect guitar for him, he worked with several guitar makers, and his signature guitar kept changing and evolving over the years, rather than him just playing whatever guitar was available or sticking to his original Frankenstein. He was an evolving musician, and that I know comes from his curiosity to go, let's find out more about that. Maybe I can do this a little better, or maybe I can tweak this, right? And the next thing I think about is, again, he was a visionary in that he played the guitar in a way that was really seldom done before, and the way he applied it to music and to express himself really has never been done before. And that is like the pinnacle of what we artists do, in that art, kind of by definition, is the act of creating something out of nothing based on your imagination. Like, you see something in your mind and then you create it. Painters do it, musicians do it, playwrights do it, right? Or writers, novelists. And he had the imagination to dream up a way of playing an instrument out of nothing. I mean, he claims that Clapton was the only influence that he had, and I believe him. The rest of it, he's just kind of, he was obviously not completely devoid of tradition, but it was just so far light years leap ahead in terms of what you can do with instrument, that you could really look at it and go, he really made it up like out of thin air. And that is imagination at its best. And then related to that is audacity to do what he envisioned, right? So many of us, myself included, try to sort of fall in line with what's been done before, and maybe you do your own twist or you add your own little flavor to it, but we end up doing just variation on the same thing of what's been done before. And there are benefits to that, in that when you do a variation of what's been done, it's easier to understand. People expect that, how to look at that and how to appreciate that. Whereas this total left field, like revolutionary stuff, at first it's like, wow, I don't know what to make of that. But he was fearless, and he had the audacity, and he didn't hold back. You can tell from his music that he had absolutely no problem. He had a great sense of like artist selfishness, which is actually one of the best and most required quality for any artist, is this almost a divine permission to say, I can do whatever the hell I please without holding back, with perfect clarity, and I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks of this. And there are very few people in the world who has the audacity to do that, who somehow feels secure and safe enough, or maybe they're dense and maybe they're not sensitive enough. Who knows? I would argue that all artists are kind of sensitive in a way, and maybe he drank himself or did drugs to numb the trepidation and the what would be a good way to say it? It's just there is certain scars and brush with pain that comes with and vulnerability when you go on and sort of march forth with nothing but your vision, especially the more sort of revolutionary and unconventional that is. And maybe he felt it, maybe he didn't, I don't know, but it certainly didn't come out in his playing. When he was playing, he was so in touch with his playing and he was so in his element that whatever he felt was just coming right out. And so for us artists, I think that key thing that we can take away from that is the imagination and audacity, and to just boldly envision and realize what you see in your mind, to follow your vision and to create what you want. And finally, I just touched upon, when he played, what you felt was this like outpouring of life energy. Like the guy didn't know how to hold back, or he didn't have any need to hold back, and there was a perfect level of control. He was, he would not like totally like unleash a total chaos, but his notes, the reason why his tapping and all that virtuosic playing came across as something that felt so good to experience is because through his virtuosity, what he had to give us was his joy of life, his unbridled life energy that was just pouring out like a waterfall, just gushing out. His famous grin, right, when he was playing, that's what we felt. That's he channeled through his guitar. If his virtuosity was used to serve some other more, let's say, vanity or more, actual fame and fortune or ego, that kind of sort of really sort of self-centered motivations, virtuosity will not feel so great to us. It will not feel so good to most of us. And so when you are trying to learn from him, and again, many guitarists can now play what he played. We can study the technique from him, but if you lose sight of what are you going to say through these techniques, like what do you have inside that you want to express and convey through your technique, I mean, you don't have any prayer in terms of reaching the high, anywhere close to the height that he did. Not that any of us can really get that high, but what I'm saying is, what's inside matters. His playing was the expression of what he had inside. And so if you just take his language, his tools, and try to mimic it, or try to have, take the whatever was the surface result of what he had inside that was driving him, and try to apply it without the depth and the inner truth that will sort of power it, you don't get the same result. So I know this is kind of heady stuff, but as any sort of honest visionary musician, what we need to strive to is to find that energy, that motivation, the passion, the desire, and go look at your instrument and go, how can I express this so that when I play, people receive what I have inside, and how can I practice and get so comfortable with my medium that I can let that be a conduit of, again, what I have inside. And if you don't have that goal in mind, hours and hours of practicing and performing still will not have the kind of impact, or somewhere near. Again, I'm not saying that anybody can achieve his height, but if your goal is to present a piece of art that will be received and that will make a difference in people's lives, that has to be the end goal, right? You have to practice and sort of refine your art, refine your expression, with the goal to get so familiar and so expressive with it to deliver what you have inside. If you don't have that inside, it doesn't matter what you do with your fingers or with your voice, you're not gonna say anything too impactful. So now this is getting to a little bit more selfish area, but part of me, I have no idea whether he felt satisfied with his output, or if he felt frustrated with all the drama with the singers, or what have you. Part of me definitely wishes that somebody told him. I know he came out way before guys like Satriani and Vi did, so maybe somebody should have clued him, or I imagine it probably occurred to him. I mean, he's a brilliant guy. You know, that it's okay to release instrumental music. He doesn't need a singer. In fact, his playing is perfectly melodic most of the time anyway without the singing, right? I wished he would just bust out his vault and just pour out his... I'm sure there's probably tons of stuff sitting in his vault, some amazing music that, you know, hopefully will come out in the coming years now that he's gone. Yeah, I wish like somebody told him, you know, you don't need a freaking singer. You can just play your guitar, man, and people will be perfectly happy to receive that. The other thing I appreciate about Eddie is that how he cared for his son, and he named his guitar after his son, and he even put him into his band, and I can tell how much he loved being a dad to his son, and you know, I love being a father myself, so it's cool that he sort of imparted himself in his son, and now, you know, Wolfgang can... Well, I'm not expecting Wolfgang to carry his torch per se. That would not be anything anybody should expect. He is his own thing. His father was his own thing. But, you know, the world is a better place to know that he fathered a child and he loved him dearly. And, you know, he's gonna have descendants, hopefully. Well, maybe. But it's just, that's so important that as a human being, you, again, it's a different kind of giving. He performed his guitar and he loved his son, and to me that has some kind of has a continuity to it, that has a you know, those are dots connecting, perhaps in ways that you know, we don't often talk about, but it's both an act of giving, that he gave what he had through his playing and through his fatherly love, and you know, that's something I really appreciate. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. Again, I love to hear your thoughts, your experience, how, you know, Eddie Van Halen's music and playing, and, you know, and the person that he was affected you. Again, it's a big loss. I mean, of course, none of us stick around forever, but it is definitely a moment to reflect upon the impact and influence that such a towering figure left behind, his legacy. And so I would welcome any comments or thoughts in terms of what his legacy means to you. Okay? Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.